Welcome, everybody, to Secret Sauce, the show where we unpack business tips, life hacks, and advice from industry leaders. I'm Karly Iacono. Today, I am joined by a good friend and very well-respected veteran in the industry, Allison Weiss. Allison, it's so great to see you again. How are you today?
I'm so good. It's so good to see you, Karly. Thank you for having me today.
My pleasure. Really glad you could join us. So, Allison is the founding principal of a company called CRE Recruiting. And with all of the news going on in the labor markets for the last few years, I thought she would be a great guest for everyone listening to have on and shed some insight into what's kind of happening real time in recruiting. So, Allison, why don't you give us an update on what the labor market looks like from your perspective and how recruiting's been going?
Absolutely. So the first thing I would say is don't believe all the gloom and doom that you see on TV. I do think that there is still a lot of hiring happening, and my plate has actually been more full in the last 6 weeks to 6 months than it has been probably at any other time in my career. I think the roles that I see continue to pick up steam, and the companies that continue to hire are those that are focused on deal making. So any role that is close to creating revenue is definitely still highly sought after at these different companies. There are a lot of other groups out there who have been stacking cash for a time such as this. So there are a lot of companies that I think are incredibly well positioned for a downturn, who have strong fiscal balance sheets and are poised to capitalize on some of the opportunities that will come up in a recessionary or any sort of corrective market that we're experiencing or in the middle of at the moment. So there are definitely still opportunities out there. Opportunities tend to be the safest if you're sitting in your seat right now and you're wondering, does it make sense to make a move? Is it risky to make a move? If you are creating or preserving revenue, so we talked about creating revenue, that's business development, that's acquisitions, anything that brings in new dollars to the company. Also, the preservation of revenue is incredibly important. So if you're on the asset management or portfolio management front, if you're able to create some incredible cost saving or cost engineering or reductions in overhead within your company, those are incredibly valuable skill sets to possess. So the folks who are in direct relation to preserving revenue, creating revenue, and also creating leverage. People who are entry level earlier on in their careers, who have less of a compensation burden on companies, those people tend to also be the safest in these types of economies.
I think it's really a good point that there's more than just getting the job. We're now thinking about job security, right? Long term, as the economy starts to shift a little bit. So that was very good insight, not only to who's hiring, but what kind of roles might really be in demand for the next few years if things do start to change even more dramatically. Thank you for sharing. Now, in terms of advice for specific job seekers, or is there anything that's working, anything that's not? What would you like to share about what people can do to position themselves better?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I think is maybe counterintuitive to folks who are searching for jobs is that their personal brand is of the utmost importance. I know us as entrepreneurs, brokers, individuals who are out there in business development roles, we understand intuitively the value of a personal brand. But sometimes the folks within companies feel like it's not something that they need to do if their direct role and responsibility isn't business development. Your personal brand is so important. When I'm introducing candidates to clients, one of the first things that they do is look at that person's LinkedIn profile. The best news about LinkedIn is that it's mostly free. The features that you would need to use as someone within a company are totally free for you to use, and Google indexes it usually within the top 1 to 3 search results. So you're effectively, when you are populating and refreshing and working on your LinkedIn profile, you're controlling the narrative of your personal brand when people Google you. And that's too big of an opportunity to miss out on. And a lot of people aren't taking advantage of it. So it's just as important if you're an intrapreneur within a company or if you're an entrepreneur, leverage social media. Social media is one of the best opportunities that we have to accelerate the learning process of people knowing you, liking you, and trusting you. And if you're applying for a job, and if you're using your LinkedIn profile as a part of your resume, you should ensure that that resume, that LinkedIn profile, they jive well with each other. There's no glaring discrepancies or errors, and that you've done everything you can to put your best face forward, because companies, employers are looking. There is value in managing your reputation online, and people also feel more comfortable getting to know you and even picking up the phone, even when they can see your picture. Simple things like that make profiles substantially more effective in getting people interviews, phone calls, and eventually job offers.
So that's something that you and I know extremely well, right?
Yes.
Huge
Yes.
part of my business, and it's been an amazing tool. How do you feel about the other platforms, Instagram, now TikTok? Are you seeing value for job seekers in those other platforms, or is it more of a just make sure what you have out there is okay for an employer to see? Like, how far are you taking the personal branding on the other
Yeah.
platforms?
Good question. So I actually use Instagram quite a bit for my own personal business development. I love Instagram personally because it relies so heavily on video and images, which, with my background being an art teacher, so naturally here I am in commercial real estate, Instagram is a fun creative outlet for me, but it's also been incredibly effective in helping job seekers and helping companies to understand sort of the strategic work that I do. So it's definitely something that I have leveraged a lot in my business. TikTok and some of the other platforms, maybe not as much. I would throw in there YouTube. If you are somebody who's a knowledge worker, if you have a lot of subject matter expertise, that might be another place to look.
Absolutely. In addition to these great tips, do you have anything more on the personal side or a life hack that you'd like to share before we wrap up today?
Absolutely. So one of my favorite bits of advice, I call it news you can use, and it's not mine. I've stolen it from somewhere, and
Very
unfortunately,
catchy.
I don't have the attribution either. But news you can use is just this idea that as we're going through our lives, as we're meeting people, friends, potential clients, coworkers, they're giving us all sorts of valuable information about who they are and what matters to them as people. And so we can use that information to strengthen the relationship as we go forward. So, for example, Karly, I know about you that you're a mother of beautiful girls, and they're a certain age and they have certain interests. And so when I am out living my life, I might come across a video or an article or a book that I think you might enjoy based on that experience of being a mother of little girls. I might send that to you and say, hey, I saw this, reminded me of you, hope you're well, would love to catch up soon. I'm not doing anything other than strengthening that relationship, showing you that I see you, I care about you, I understand what's important to you, I value our connection and our relationship. And so if ever there comes a time that you need help or you need to grow your company or your team, you might reach out to me first, because I have taken the time to understand who you are and what's important to you. And I've done some of that legwork to build the relationship before I would ever ask for anything.
What an effective tool and a great thing for everyone to remember as you go through your day-to-day life. It doesn't have to be something big. It's just these small connection points with people make all the difference. And it's true. I would call you first, not only because I've known you for a good amount of time now, but because you are excellent at building relationships and making people feel connected to you. And that is a great small tip that I think we all can use and just kind of keep in mind as we go through our days to just remember things about people that are unique that help strengthen that bond.
Absolutely.
Excellent. This was so good. It was wonderful to be able to share this conversation with you. We very much appreciate your time. To everyone listening, that was Secret Sauce. I'm Karly.iacono, and we hope to see you again very soon. Thanks so much, Allison.
Thank you, Karly.